Everyone. Welcome to the midweek check-in of democracy-ish.
It hasn't started yet. We have no one.
Really? It says we have two people.
Okay, now we do.
Hey everyone. Thank you all for joining democracy-ish. This is a midweek check-in. I should be resting. I'm recovering from a cold. I've gotten better. So that's why you haven't heard from me. But my wife's like, why don't you just go sleep? I'm like, no, we must. There's an opportunity to mock and ridicule billionaires. Must take it. The framing, and you maybe all caught me in conversation with Danielle Moody. Go subscribe to Danielle's fantastic Substack, Damn Digest. Also, our YouTube channel, Danielle Moody. Like me, everything is free. No paywalls, folks. So if you can, please subscribe. It's free, and we have a special going on if you want to become a paid subscriber. But I was like, Danielle, maybe I'm just tired and I'm seeing what's happening as the Epstein files and the Washington Post and Bezos. So we're going to label this Burn the Billionaires to the Ground. And Danielle said, Danielle,
You could name it Fuck It All to Hell, and I wouldn't care because the entire world is run by a pedophilia syndicate that each children tortures them, and it is being absolutely and completely normalized by the Deputy Attorney General, who said that there is no crime in partying with a convicted pedophile and sex trafficker. And so what my plea is, as folks are tuning in, is please do not allow yourselves to normalize this sick and depraved and cruel fucking behavior, no matter how many right wing outlets and also mainstream corporatized networks try and hide the story, erase it, tell you that it's no big deal. It actually is the only fucking thing that we should be talking about. It is the only thing that should be on everybody's mouths, that should be in every paper, in every place. So please do not find yourself doing what Ted Cruz did a couple of weeks ago as a slip up, but was actually a tell on himself, which says, let's stop attacking pedophiles. He said that in a committee hearing twice. Let's stop attacking pedophiles. Folks, these are the same people that have been rolling back age of consent laws in red states, that have also been rolling back child labor laws in states. You have to understand that the Bible that they use to weaponize against Black people, that they use to condone slavery, the brutalization, the cannibalism of Black people, the deaths of our babies, the rape, the torture, and the murder has now all come home to roost because they've been doing it to their own. They are doing it to white people. They are doing it to white children. And folks, I'm telling you, do not turn away from this by telling yourselves it's too much, because enough people are not angry, or enough people are not enraged at this moment the way that we're going to discuss.
and
Go ahead,
furthermore,
Raj.
the breaking news, of course, is the Purges, bloodletting, the massacre at the Washington Post, and no shit. What do you think was going to happen when you let a billionaire take over one of the august institutions, which, despite its flaws, nonetheless did fantastic reporting. It has a lot of excellent colleagues. But going back to Daniel's point, I like to bring receipts also. We joked, well, I joked, it was a dark joke, that by the end of this week, the GOP would be known as the guardian of the pedophiles, and they would pretty much say, well, pedophilia, isn't that bad? Because you have to defend pedophilia and or whitewash the rest of us or distract us, because there's no other way than to protect your king and daddy, Donald Trump, who is mentioned thousands of times in the Epstein
38.
files, 38,000 times, because he was Epstein's closest friend. And even with the redactions, they couldn't redact the horrific allegations that were made. One of them under FBI testimony, under oath, for fear of perjury, that young girls were raped by Donald Trump, right? And furthermore, if you've been reading the Epstein files and what we've been trying to, all gather, folks, everyone's been working, is that there's some allegations there, not just of rape and sex trafficking of girls, but also potential murder, disappearance of girls. So we don't know, folks. There's still the tip of the iceberg. But a couple of weeks ago, Megyn Kelly, of all people, tried to defend these pedophiles, and she said, remember, oh, barely legal. They're just
Yep.
barely legal. Megyn Kelly is the mother of a 14-year-old girl. That was the age of some of these girls who were raped by these men. And then the person that she said it to on her show was Batya Ungar-Sargon, who comes on CNN often with the News Nation. And you know what she said yesterday? It's time to move on. I don't really care about the Epstein files. Who said that about 2 months ago in a New York Times op-ed? David Brooks. In a strange op-ed, people are like, you know what? This doesn't concern me. I think it's time to move on. And then voila, what did we find out 5 weeks ago? He was in the Epstein files because this photo was there because he was in some meeting with Epstein. And guess what? A couple of days ago, he moved on from the New York Times. So now and then Todd Blanche, that was on Sunday. He went on Fox, and Todd Blanche, folks, is Deputy Attorney General. But what is he also? Donald Trump's personal attorney. And he went on, as Danielle was saying on Laura Ingram's show, says, partying with billionaires isn't a crime. Yeah, but partying with a pedophile who literally was a convicted pedophile was not necessarily a crime, but everyone knew about it. Everyone did it, as we've seen from the latest Epstein. They didn't care, Daniel. That's the main point, is they knew he was a raper of girls. They knew he was a convicted pedophile. They knew he had a private jet called Lolita Express. And if you look at the dates from the latest dump or whatever you want to call it, all these people, it wasn't that they were meeting him in 2007, 2006, 2005 before his conviction. 2012, 2017. Larry Summers emailed him about girls up until the point Epstein was arrested, Danielle. So what we're witnessing is a cabal of like 500 to 700 of the world's worst people,
Yep.
really wealthy billionaires, mostly not exclusively men, mostly not exclusively white men, no drag queens, no transgender folks. I didn't see any Somalis, no Haitians, who are perfectly fine either raping girls, sex trafficking girls, or partying with the people or mainstreaming the people who are doing this, as long as it was good for their bottom line. And what we also found out, and we talked about yesterday on the Left Hook, is that these individuals, in part led by or influenced by Epstein, were doing what, Danielle? Into crypto to destabilize foreign financial markets, uh, funding right-wing interest groups, right-wing politicians, 4chan, all the destabilizers of the post-World War II global order. They were part of it. Peter Thiel, Epstein, Steve Bannon, 4chan, right? This one degree, Ehud Barak, right? You literally had Epstein tell Ehud Barak on audio, you should invest in Palantir. He's like, how do you spell that? Peter Thiel and Palantir. Who does surveillance, Danielle? Who now helps run the surveillance state? Who's gotten billions of dollars? Who helped Israel with its genocide openly? Alex Karp of Palantir. The world's worst people coming together to rape girls, destroy our democracy, scale back human rights, cover up sex trafficking, and furthermore, Danielle, another thing we've been finding out from these leaks is that what really triggered them, right? There's several things that triggered them, but what really triggered them, and it all makes sense, the Me Too movement. The Me Too movement was terrified these people because the Me Too movement, Danielle, for a brief moment, what do we have? Accountability. What's the other thing that pissed them off? BLM. Why, Danielle? For a brief moment, we had what? Accountability. And who are the people who would rather burn down everything than have accountability? The billionaires. That's why they took over Twitter, Washington Post, right? Oh, we're being canceled, right? They went against the woke, the $300 million that Elon Musk spent on the anti-trans stuff, all projection all the time. So we have 500 to 600 people who would rather burn down the world so they can continue raping girls, dismantling our institutions, gobbling up our wealth, rather than face any accountability or reform. Am I wrong, Daniel?
No. And I want to add on to what you have laid out, which is a couple of points. And I said this earlier today with Jared on the check-in. One, these people that we're talking about, one, I believe that it is more than 5, 6, 700. I think that it's into the thousands and into the tens of thousands and millions when we're looking at all of the systems and all of the people that are necessary in order to keep a syndicate like this that is a multi-billion-dollar syndicate running over the course of 30, 40 years, right? So first off, these people created crypto as a way to buy and sell human beings.
Yeah.
And I want people to understand that, right? They created a black market economy, mainstreamed it so that there would be no trace. And
Silk Road.
they did so that they would be able to buy and sell girls and boys. That's what crypto was created for. And I want people to understand that. They open it up to the masses to make it seem like it is going to move along with America's normal lottery mentality of get rich quick, right? So a couple of people buy Bitcoin at the right time. They buy this thing, they buy that thing. Look at us. We're rich. Oh, everything is great. The primary reason was to be able to buy and sell girls undetected. That's number one, girls and boys, because I do not want folks to forget about the fact that this is children. They are buying and selling children. Okay. So that's number one. Number two, the other thing that I said earlier today is that you have 3 million files, right? You also had the testimonies and accounts of how many women and now grown men that have been trying to tell you about Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein over how many decades, right? And yet still, we're still digging through these files, right, of this dead man instead of believing the women and men outright that have firsthand accounts of trauma and abuse and torture. They are telling you that they disappeared children. They are telling you that they are complicit in the deaths of people, right? And we are still fucking pretending that we need more information. Folks, Donald Trump, according to news outlets, is mentioned more in the Epstein files in this batch than Jesus Christ is in the fucking Bible. Okay? And so you want to tell us, again, the normalization that a Todd Blanche did on Laura Ingram's show and saying that there's nothing wrong, there's nothing criminal about emailing a criminal. Actually, that's how you get things like accessory, right? Accessory to crimes, because there is actually something criminal about knowing that someone is a criminal and then continuing to frolic with them.
You know what? I'm so glad you brought it back to crypto. I want to mention something real quick because we mentioned on
Please.
democracyish a year ago, and I always try to bring it up because there's such a barrage of terrible news. One of the first pardons of the many pardons that Donald Trump gave to many fraudsters and drug traffickers and friends of friends who gave him millions of dollars, one of the first pardons when he got reelected was Ross Ulbricht. Ross Ulbricht, folks, is the founder of Silk Road. Now, you might be asking yourself, what the hell are you talking about, Watch? Silk Road, folks, operated between 2011 and 2013. It was a digital marketplace that used, wait for it, crypto. Ross Ulbricht was the founder of crypto. At the time of his sentencing in San Francisco in 2015, Ulbricht was 31 years old. He was convicted, Danielle, of distributing narcotics, engaging in continuing criminal enterprise, conspiring to commit computer hacking, and conspiring to create fake identities and launder money. He was sentenced to life in prison. Guess who came out and pardoned him as one of his first pardons? Donald Trump.
Donald Trump.
Why? Because to many crypto bros and libertarians, Ross Ulbricht was their hero. He was the hero for helping use and, if you will, mainstream crypto as the currency that was used on Silk Road, where, in addition to drug trafficking and weapons trafficking, there was also sex trafficking.
Correct.
And there was no accountability, and this was allowed to happen. And then Donald Trump comes in and does what? Pardons him. And all the crypto bros say, yeah, Donald Trump, you freed our hero who was serving life in prison. Donald Trump and his children and Witkoff and his kids have made up to $5 billion in 1 year. That's remarkable, Daniel. How'd they make $5 billion? Through their crypto grift called World Liberty Financial. What we just found out over the weekend is that Spy Sheikh, that is a name given to the brother of the UAE president, I'm forgetting his name right now, the prince who runs the national security advisor, who's the national security advisor of UAE, gave a bribe to Donald Trump for nearly $500 million and bought up 49% stake in World Liberty Financial. Danielle, can you tell the people who, a month after he did that, what country just all of a sudden got the super advanced AI chips against the advice of our national security advisors who said, you know what, we probably shouldn't give these super advanced NVIDIA AI chips to this country. This would be bad for America's national security. Can you guess what country? Just
The UAE.
the UAE. And who gets pardoned by Donald Trump? CZ. CZ, the creator of Binance, that allows World Liberty Financial to get these billions of dollars. CZ pled guilty to money laundering. All right.
Hmm.
So,
And what was his platform used for?
crypto.
No, crypto that was in connection with why he was arrested. What again were they using the crypto for?
Was it trafficking?
Trafficking,
Yeah.
drugs, sex trafficking, drugs, and guns, right?
And yeah, and same thing with Silk Road. And I'll say this. Yesterday, I was talking to Ryan Broderick, who went through the emails, and he says, he was talking about how Epstein, and we don't know. We're still trying to connect the dots. Epstein, back in 2011, got really into crypto, got really into this new technology, got really into online gaming, started talking to, wait for it, Steve Bannon, started talking to, wait for it, Peter Thiel, right? Ross thinks that Epstein, his main, if you will, goal, Danielle, was not
Mm.
crypto or destabilization. That was a means to the end. The end, he says, for Epstein, and again, we don't know, we're not God, he says, was to continue his pedophilia. And how could he continue his pedophilia and his sex trafficking without any accountability, with deregulation? Oh, through crypto. Everything else was a means to the end. All right, I'll work with Russia. I'll work with 4chan. I'll work with Steve Bannon, because this gives me a means to an end to continue what I want to do, which is the rape and sex trafficking of girls with impunity. And furthermore, he said the chatter amongst these billionaire bros really amps up with the arrest of Harvey Weinstein. Why was Harvey Weinstein arrested? Because after decades of raping so many girls, decades and decades, finally the dam burst. And then he's up in the Epstein files also, because if you see the FBI interview of Jeffrey Epstein's inmate in 2019, right? He mentions who? Donald Trump. He mentions who? Harvey Weinstein. He mentions who? Leon Black. Who's Leon Black? Apollo Management billionaire who gave Jeffrey Epstein $170 million for tax advice, as one does, Danielle. And guess what? Guess what? Who partied with Donald Trump? Leon Black. Where did they party in the 90s? Russia. Who introduced the head Brad Karp of the law firm Paul Weiss to Jeffrey Epstein? Oh, Paul Weiss's client was Leon Black. Brad Karp was the head of Paul Weiss. Paul Weiss was the first law firm to bend the knee a year ago. Everyone was wondering, why did Paul Weiss bend the knee so readily to Donald Trump and offer like everything? Well, we found out from the Epstein files that Brad Karp, the head of this global law firm, Paul Weiss, guess what, folks? Loved Epstein, thanked Epstein, because Epstein got him into an exclusive golf club. And Epstein tried to get his son into a Woody Allen movie, who's also in the Epstein files. Danielle, you can't, I might as well put on a tinfoil hat.
But I mean, so here's the thing. Here's the thing, because one of the other things that are being floated out right now, which is Jeffrey Epstein's involvement in QAnon and Ghislaine Maxwell's involvement in Reddit. Now, folks will think to themselves, well, why would they have been involved in QAnon and involved in Reddit? Mainly the sources of these deep conspiracy theories that were feeding the MAGA base, right? So that they could operate in plain sight. That's why.
Projection.
Because when you can create the narrative
That's right.
and say and put it out there into the universe and have it spill out and have all of these different MAGA groups and podcasters and influencers pick all and gobble it all up, but they have it under the guise of, oh, it's just Democrats, because they know that that's where they will go. Then anything that is released, anything that you hear, right, you're going to assume it's some wrapped up conspiracy theory so that they can operate in plain site.
Yep.
Somebody had said in the chat, like, oh, how do you know about, the connection to crypto and sex trafficking? Because literally Waj just laid it out. Like, folks, you need to stop looking at these businesses. And this is what I said earlier again on the check-in with Jared. That video is up right now. You need to stop looking at money and the businesses that these people have as if it is their money makers. It is not. They do not look at money and deal with money in the same way that we do. Money to them is about power and access. And one of the things that I am beginning to believe, Waj, and I'm just going to put it out there, we all in our guts know that Bill Barr went to visit Jeffrey Epstein 4 days before Jeffrey Epstein allegedly commits suicide with no witnesses, no camera on, no nothing,
Well,
right? Donald,
also the most effed up crime scene where people are saying
right,
every single mistake that could have been made was made in the forensics.
right. But it wasn't a mistake. So these are, again, these are the things that like people need to understand is that nothing was done by accident. The belief has been, right, that Donald Trump and Bill Barr had Jeffrey Epstein killed in order to prevent any leaks about Donald Trump coming out. I actually beg to differ. I believe now, given everything that we know, and this is just my opinion, so I'm putting it out there. This is Danielle Moody's opinion. I believe that Donald Trump, Bill Barr, and that entire cabal had Epstein killed not because they were afraid of release, but because Donald Trump wanted to take over the business and that he needed to get Jeffrey Epstein out of the way. Because you know what Jeffrey Epstein had on everybody? Leverage.
That's right.
He had the thing that Donald Trump wants and covets the most, which is the ability to blackmail and bend people to your will. Donald Trump already knew, right? People knew the goods on him and he knew the goods on everybody else. But if you're the holder of this syndicate, right? Then not only are you making the money, but you also are the holder of the power and can wield influence beyond anyone's imagination. So guess what you do? You become president of the United States, right? You now are no longer really looking into sex trafficking. You're no longer really looking to regulate crypto. You're no longer doing any of the things that any actual government would be doing to stop these heinous crimes. No, you now have the cover of all covers. And thank you to the Supreme Court that gave that motherfucker immunity, right? So, folks, all I'm saying, again, this is my opinion. It is my opinion alone, but I want you to think about it given everything that you know, everything that has been laid out to you.
That is an interesting opinion. What I will say is I don't know. However, what I will say is the following, and I said this before, and this I've been saying it for a while. If I am an intelligence officer of any country, let's just say Russia, just for the hell of it, and I know there's a man, Jeffrey Epstein, who has appetites, and those appetites include pedophilia. And I know that other rich men, influential men, captains of different industries, sometimes prime ministers of nations. Let's not forget, Virginia Giuffre said that one of her rapers was a prime minister of another country. Could it be Ehud Barak? I don't know. Just saying. But I digress. If I know that that man, Jeffrey Epstein, has dirt, this type of dirt of pedophilia, bad money, and his island, if you will, or rather his entire being is the node that connects all these different people. You know what I'm thinking as a foreign intelligence officer? This man has fantastic blackmail on some of the world's most powerful people who are the heads of nations and economies. You know what I would do if I was a foreign intelligence officer of any country? I must cultivate that man as an asset, either willingly or
Yep.
unwillingly, wittingly or unwittingly. You see Russia pop up thousands of times in the latest dump. You see Israel pop up thousands of times. You have heard vis-a-vis Wall Street Journal reporting that allegedly Alex Acosta, who gave Jeffrey Epstein a sweetheart deal. I think we should go back, folks. This will make your blood boil. Let's go back to 2007, 2008. They got Jeffrey Epstein dead to rights, Daniel. Imagine if this was anyone else, all right? Just replace Epstein with Bob, from your local community. In fact, let's just say a black man, just for the hell of it. Suppose a black man in your local community, there was 3 dozen girls dead to rights who've all come out as victims and said this man trafficked and or raped us. And suppose you had their testimony. What would happen to that man, Danielle?
I mean, he would go to jail or
For life.
be investigated.
For life, right? Alex Acosta, who later became Donald Trump's Secretary of Labor, instead
Yep.
does a sweetheart plea bargain that has never been given to anyone before, ices out the victims, does it behind their backs, doesn't consult with them. And Jeffrey Epstein pleads guilty just to 2 counts, right? Of trafficking, of soliciting
Prostitution.
prostitution.
Soliciting a
Yeah.
prostitute.
Okay. He gets a 13-month slap on the wrist, where it's not even a slap on the wrist, it's like a graze of the wrist, where for 6 out of the 7 days of the week, he's out with an ankle monitor
At his own mansion.
where he continues raping, all right, girls,
Yep.
right? He then gets out and then he continues raping, and all these powerful people keep meeting him, right? So if I'm that individual who has all that information, all these people, I would, I don't know, cultivate him as an asset. And we found out from the latest dump that Epstein's publicist, guess what? Grew up in Russia, part of Putin's youth movement. There's a photo of her next to Putin, right? Then she was sent to New York, where she became, wait for it, Epstein's publicist. Then, wait for it, Epstein connects her to Peter Thiel and the Silicon Valley bros. Then she ends up going to and circulating with these Silicon Valley bros, right? The people creating this brand new technology. And then we found out from the latest dump that a confidential source, an FBI confidential source, believed, and I'll get her name in a second, that she was actually sent by Russia to get secrets, tech secrets from America, right? So you look at Epstein, and then you look at the latest batch where Epstein wanted to help Putin. He wanted to help Putin's plan for a post-World War II order. He wanted to destabilize. He wanted to return to tribalism, right? It's the closest you get to a mission statement. Then you see the partying in Russia, Trump in Russia, right? So some people say, oh, Trump is a willing, if you will, agent of Russia. I think this mother effer, with his narcissism, with his idiocy, with his reckless appetites, I think all they had to do with Trump, Danielle, is just nudge him with some flattery, nudge him with some deals, and he's so narcissistic, so psychopathic, he does it voluntarily.
Yes. 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 To all of the things. Yes, 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 yes. Again, it just like people think, well, if these governments knew this and they're utilizing him as a spy, right, to spy on other people, because at the end of the day, folks, what does this come down to? No one gives a fuck about women and girls and boys. They do not care. These people are dealing on a completely level, moral free level that you and I do not operate on.
Psychopath.
And so everybody knew that these girls and boys are being trafficked in from Eastern European countries. They're coming from Russia. They're coming from Poland. They're coming from this place and that place, right? How does all of this happen? Again, how is all of this money being held at Chase and at Deutsche Bank and at these places, and no one is flagging? Right? Like, no one is flagging these operations as like, what is this money being done for? This seems really interesting. Who just said in a committee hearing, Senator Whitehouse said in the files, there are over 4,000 transactions, monetary transactions between Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein.
I think it was
He
Wyden.
goes, huh?
I think it was Wyden.
What? No, I thought it was White House.
Okay, either way, I'll go fact check. You might be right.
Go and double check, because I saw the video last night. In the committee hearing oversight, he says there are over 4,000 exchanges, monetary exchanges between Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. He said that those are 4,000 threads to actually investigate. What do we always say on Democracy-ish? Follow the money. If you actually want to know what is going on, follow the money. There was money that was transacted between these people who were buying sex, no, they weren't buying sex. Let me recant. Who are buying rape, right? They were transactions. So tell me why Donald Trump would have over 4,000 exchanges with Jeffrey Epstein. He wasn't his financial advisor, right? He wasn't on the payroll at Mar-a-Lago. So and again, just investigate, follow the fucking money. What was it for?
Why would they follow the money if it actually compromises the institutions and their bosses? I mean, to your point, Danielle, and this will infuriate people even more. What we found out from the latest batches of the past month and a half is that the Farmer sisters, who are heroes, alerted the elder Farmer sister alerted FBI back in 1996 that Jeffrey Epstein was a pedophile. 1996. A few years later, Vicky Ward, who I've interviewed, investigative journalist, she was at the Vanity Fair at that time. She said that, she was asked by Vanity Fair to do some puff piece on Jeffrey Epstein, and then the Farmer sisters reached out. And she says she put the Farmer sisters' allegations in her piece. And then she said, then she went to the Vanity Fair editor, and then she got threatened. She was pregnant and she got threats by Epstein. Vanity Fair was threatened. And then the piece comes out, and guess what's missing from the piece? The account of the Farmer sisters. We know that everyone knew that Jeffrey Epstein was a rapist. How do we know? Donald Trump lied about writing that lewd message to Jeffrey Epstein that Ghislaine Maxwell compiled for his 50th birthday. Now we've seen the photos. I'll post a link right now. It's disgusting. If you look at the drawings and the photos, many of those people, not all of them, but many of them are openly joking about him being surrounded by girls, giving girls lollipops, and then later those girls are surrounding him. His jet was named Lolita Express. What does that mean? They knew he liked having sex with and raping young girls. Donald Trump, when he was a young playboy, according to Susie Wiles in the Vanity Fair piece, he was 50 years old, partied with Epstein. What did they do? Chase models. What did they do? Chase girls. Michael Wolff told me twice. I asked Michael, what was the ages of the girls, Danielle? 14 to 19. Modeling agencies. Both of them started modeling agencies at the same time. Allison Gill got a tip while she was on yesterday. She said a friend of one of the girls who was raped said she was trafficked through Donald Trump's modeling agency. Where else were they abused and trafficked through? Mar-a-Lago. Where was Virginia Giuffre as a teenager spotted by and groomed by Ghislaine Maxwell? Mar-a-Lago. Okay.
Just don't forget about the pageant. Don't forget about the Miss Teen USA pageant. And I just want to say, because again, the Miss Teen USA pageant that Donald Trump started was in order to provide girls to Jeffrey Epstein. Waj, what members of Donald Trump's inner circle and teams were a part of Miss Teen USA?
You tell me. I don't know.
Because there are at least 2 of his women lawyers that were formerly Miss Teen USA. Do you know who else was in the pageant? I have to get their name, and I don't have my computer, and I can't.
Was Cohen part of it? Michael Cohen, was he part of it?
No. You know who was a contestant? I believe. And again, all of the
Charlie Kirk's wife.
Charlie Kirk's wife. Erica Kirk.
Yeah, she was a Trump pageant. Yeah.
She was in the pageant in what year?
2012, if I remember correctly.
In 2012. Google the lawyers for Donald Trump, because 2 of them also came out of Miss Teen USA. So the reason why I'm saying this is look at the layers of protection that Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein created around themselves, right? You abuse these girls. You start at a young age. You groom them, right? And then you pass them off to billionaires to get married, live these big, luxurious lives, right? And then they end up working for you because that's the only power that they know is to stay connected to you because they know the inner workings of what happens when you try to escape. So you try to ascend
Well,
inside of these sick. Go ahead.
Miss Arizona 2012, and then she participated in Miss USA 2012. And then also, you give me an Erica Kirk, I'll ante up with a Melania Trump. A lot of questions that she needs to answer because, folks, we know through the latest dump, she was very chummy with Ghislaine Maxwell. We've seen through the photos that she partied with Donald, Ghislaine, and Jeffrey Epstein. What we found out from Michael Wolff, based on what Jeffrey Epstein told him, allegedly, is that Jeffrey Epstein was the one who introduced Melania to Donald Trump. And the first place where they had sex was, I want to throw up, is on the Jet Lolita Express. Melania, Slovenia, Eastern Europe, a lot of these young, pretty girls, right? They were brought over here as models and then passed around to powerful men, right? She was introduced to Epstein, and then Epstein introduced her to Donald Trump.
Donald
And
Trump.
then furthermore, folks, you're like, Waj, I don't know about that. Really? Go check it out. But here's this one to make it even more blunt. Her documentary comes out this weekend. Amazon, this is why we should burn billionaires to the ground, decides to spend $40 million to produce her documentary, a total of $70 million when it comes to um, production, right, and publicity. Why would they spend $70 million on a money loser? Oh, because what better way for Jeff Bezos to ingratiate himself with the Trump administration than to spend $70 million creating a complete whitewash documentary of Melania Trump? That's why they did it. For them, it was a very minor $70 million. That's nothing. That's like chump change. All right. In order to help Melania and Donald Trump and getting close with the administration, we are going to spend $40 million and produce Melania the documentary. Guess who was chosen to direct Melania the documentary? Brett
Brett
Ratner.
Ratner, who
Can you
is
can you tell him
in
who Brett Ratner is?
the Brett Ratner, director who was accused of sexual assault, who was blacklisted from Hollywood, who now has had his career revived through this bullshit documentary, and who is also mentioned in the Epstein files several times. Wash,
With the
is it
photo of between him,
with a
standing
photo
between him and
of
a girl and
him
Epstein,
laying with a woman or a girl with Epstein with
a
a
girl.
girl? Um, Waj, look up, is it Lindsay Halligan that was in the pageant? Is it Halligan or the other one? Or Halligan, Haba, and what is the other one's name?
Oh no, Lindsay Halligan was in the Miss Colorado beauty pageant.
Okay.
And yeah, can you tell us her very short-lived career as interim U.S. attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia? You know, when you're not, it's disgusting, folks. I mean, I still say,
And I just want to throw this out there, not just, and this is just separate because again, it is a mindset. It is a elite society of pedophiles and wealth and power. Bobblehead Barbie, Carolyn Levitt, right? Her husband
wait,
is,
Caroline Levitt. Wait, this one?
yeah, Caroline Levitt.
Right.
Her husband is 10 years older than her,
No, no, much older,
20 years older than her.
much older. I'll get it for you in a second.
Yeah, he is, let's just put it out there,
32-year age gap.
32-year age gap. 32-year age gap, right? Was friends with her dad. And how do most of these trafficking setups things happen, right? Through people you know. Friends with your dad, that means that like he knew when she was born. That
Listen,
means that he saw her, right? Grow up. Like,
I'll make
I
I'll
I
make it
just I
I'll make it even freakier. When when, oh, guess what Caroline Levitt's age is? There's an age gap is I don't wanna judge people, but okay, the age gap between her and her husband is 32 years. Got it? What's her age? How old is she right now, Danielle? Take a guess.
she's 28.
Yep.
You just oh, shit, I just got it. I just got it's a 32-year age gap. Carolyn Levitt is 28. Holy shit.
Yep. He was. Yep. Wow.
Wow. Ugh.
That's wild, right? That is
Oh
wild.
my god. Oh my god.
Yeah, she was, yep, 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 yep. So, wow. Yeah, and someone says she looks I can't say so like, "She's 28, she looks 50. Hate ages you. Hate ages you." Look at Danielle. She could be 25, she could be 75. We don't know. Black doesn't crack. Look at Caroline Levitt, 28 going on 63. Oh, boy. Listen, I don't wanna judge, but all right. Well, actually, I do want to judge. Caroline Levitt's terrible. I think it's freaky as hell. Her husband has a 32-year age gap. What the F? And then she puts on, like she overdoes it with this MAGA makeup. Look at what it's done to these women. Look at what it did to Caroline Levitt. Look what it did to Pam Bondi. Look at what it did to Christy Nome. Her face wants to escape. Um, Hate ages you, folks. Um, uh, yeah, no, we just did the math. That's all we did right now, folks. People are like, what did we miss?
Yeah, I mean, that was just,
We just
like,
did the math
again,
and we're just like, "Wait a second,
we
32-year
just did
age
the
gap,
math.
and she's 28." So you're like, "Wow." Yeah, he had lived a good life before she was even as she was an embryo. He was a grown-ass man who had survived 3 decades on this earth. That's fine. Don't wanna judge. Hey, Jen, how's it going? Jen Bud's here. I love Jen. Um Speaking about billionaires, you made a really good point, Danielle. I want to go back to it because I think it's very important. A lot of people don't follow QAnon, and I've tried my best to follow and connect the dots. So let me give an example of why QAnon is so dangerous and how these people are so shameless and so reckless. Danielle makes the point that they're essentially engaging in projection. Everything the past 10 years that they have accused the rest of us of doing, which is raping children, sex trafficking children, worshiping the devil, being satanic, and eating children. That's what they talk. That's what QAnon says about the rest of us.
Literally.
2020 FBI report came out. It was reported by Yahoo. I should have gotten much more traction. I tried my best to jump on it when I was writing a column for Daily Beast. And I kept mentioning it. Ahead of the 2020 election, folks, FBI warned that QAnon, which by that time was fully embraced by MAGA and Donald Trump, it emerged from the swamps of the internet. Where? 4chan. Who met with the 4chan founder? Epstein. So 4chan is where some of the most disgusting, misogynist, vile, batshit crazy conspiracy theories emerge. And then they got mainstreamed through MAGA that said, oh, we should jump on this, and this could cause more cultural war and divisions. Donald
Yeah.
Trump realized it was freakish, realized it was extreme, realized, because the FBI warned, that QAnon has the power of radicalizing individuals and groups ahead of the 2020 election, and
Yep.
these individuals might cause violence. Who jumped on QAnon? Donald Trump
Donald Trump.
and MAGA and Kash Patel and Don Mangino and the rest of the right wing. What did they do? What they said was there's a deep state conspiracy. The Jews run this. Soros, Rothschilds. The Jews are using the leftists and liberals and all critics of Donald Trump, including law enforcement and the media, black people and immigrants and Muslims and the LGBTQ, right, to weaken and replace the white man. And what they also are doing is raping children. This is the, if you will, the more steroid devolved version of Pizzagate. Remember Pizzagate? First Trump
Mhm.
administration, they're flirting with Pizzagate. A man comes right here. I've been to that pizza ping pong parlor before. This Trumper literally drives up with a gun and says, "I'm here for the kids." And they're like, "Sir, this is a..."
And they're remember, they're in the basement,
Yeah.
right? And the restaurant doesn't even have a basement,
And
right?
he said Hillary Clinton and liberals are keeping
A
child sex
holding.
slaves in the basement. And they're like, "Sir, this is a Wendy's." And he gets arrested, right? So they're like, "Aha, this works." So QAnon is the jacked up version of that, fully embraced by MAGA. Why do I mention this? 2021 violent insurrection incited by Donald Trump, based upon what? Conspiracy theories. Ashley Babbitt, who they now see as a martyr. Ashley Babbitt was there because, folks, she was radicalized by QAnon. All of her language on social media, the storm is coming, this and that. QAnon helped radicalize her and push her over the edge. All right, another name that no one talks about, but we talk about it on Democracy-ish. Vance Bolter. Oh, you know the man who killed Melissa Hortman and her husband and her dog and had a list of 70 liberals that he wanted to kill? What pushed him over the edge? There's only one piece that actually covered this. QAnon. All right. So basically, what they did is they laundered their actual pedophilia, their, I'm using devilish and figurative language, just satanic, horrific violence against women. And they projected it, as Jen said, Jen Budd, onto the rest of us as a means of giving themselves cover. But they effed up. They were so reckless that they ran on it and they radicalized their own base. And what they said, this is now 2024, there's only one man who is pure enough, only one man outside the system, only one man who's not corrupt, only one man who does not belong to the institution of the swamp: Donald Trump. And Donald Trump will come in and drain the swamp, and he will reveal the deep state. You know how? The Rosetta Stone is the Epstein files. Now, check it out, folks. We've been talking about it since the summer. You saw Dan Bongino's face. Go check it out. Remember that Dan Bongino clip where, like, oh, something's here, where he looked like a deer in headlights, and he was talking about like he's been away from his wife, and then Kash Patel came out like a couple days before. There's nothing to see. Everything is fine with the Epstein files. And then Pam Bondi, all of a sudden, she goes, "I have the Epstein files on my desk," and then she all of a sudden forgot. And then Dan Bongino forgot because they saw what was in the Epstein files. And Danielle,
Yep.
tell them what was in the Epstein files. What they
I
saw.
mean, what we are all seeing now, like about the about the rape, the sex trafficking, the disappearing of children, the rituals and the torture, the pictures that the DOJ just accidentally released of essay pictures of children hogtied and tied up that they then just took down a couple of days ago, right? Aaron Parnez was like, here, like, how did this happen again? Not by accident, not by accident. It is a way to just normalize what it is that they're doing. They see all of this, they see who all is it's connected to, and all of a sudden now Pam Bondi can't find the files that were on her desk. Dan Bongino says, "Look away, I gotta leave, I gotta spend more time with my children." And fucking Kash Patel says, there's nothing to see here, folks. And then you see, right, everybody hopped up on drugs, right, and like trying to forget what it is that they know. Folks, I just want to say this. What we have seen is what they actually wanted us to see. Can you imagine what they have held back?
That's
If
right.
this is what they have released, and we are sick to our stomachs, can you imagine what has been left out?
Yep. And they thought this would help them. And they thought this would help them because they've overreached so much on ICE. They've overreached to the point where ICE is murdering US citizens and then lying about it and covering it up. They've overreached so much, folks, that according to the latest polls, a majority of Americans want to abolish ICE. Donald Trump has made immigrants great again, right? And now most people support a pathway towards citizenship and are against Donald Trump's immigration policies. Folks, for those who don't follow politics, Donald Trump is negative double digits on immigration. What does that mean? Immigration is the Republican safe space. It's their warm blanket. They could walk into it. It's home court. They have double digit advantage over our Democrats. They've overreached so bad that he's now negative double digits on immigration. It's like Democrats being negative double digits on marriage equality. It's like, how would they F that up? That's how badly they effed up. So they thought, man, we're really getting hammered on us, sending the Gestapo and the slave patrol to straight up murder American citizens. You know what'll be a better distraction? The Epstein files. That's how bad they are. And I think they failed to realize how bad the Epstein files are because I think, Daniel, if I may put on my tinfoil hat, some FBI agents and some people in the DOJ, just like the batch that came out 6 weeks ago, deliberately let some unredacted stuff fall through. Oopsie,
Mm-hmm.
my bad. This little allegation about Donald Trump violently raping someone. How did that get through? Whoopsie. Same thing happened, of course, 6 weeks ago. Oh, my bad. Oh, you say you don't know Donald Trump, and there's an entire drawer full of stuff between you and Epstein. Oops. I think there's some heroes in the DOJ who are so horrified. And also, we know Allison Gill last April, we know that thousands of FBI agents given over millions of dollars in overtime were locked in a room for 24 to 48 hours and told to search for one name and scrub one name. Daniel, can you take a guess?
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump. That's how much this
Here's
mother.
But here's the thing, because what I find so sick, Watch, is that while, let's say that it was intentional to release these unredacted elements, to put out into the sphere that there is handwritten, because this is, of course, why the DOJ overlooked it. I put it up on my show yesterday on YouTube, on the Danielle Moody Show. There was a handwritten statement to the FBI that implicates Donald Trump in the rape of a 13-year-old girl.
Yep.
Right? There is another that is not an unverified statement. It is a statement that you mentioned earlier that was under oath.
Yep.
By a woman who said that Donald Trump raped a 13-year-old girl and told her that if you say anything, I will disappear you like the 12-year-old blank. Name was redacted.
And
that
her family.
entire
her and also her family.
And your family. The entire that account under oath is in the FBI files. It was released to the public. Now I ask you, Wash, how, with 38,000 mentions, with these affidavits that could end you right up being either in jail for perjury or with a hefty fine, how is that not front page news? And why do you think that it's only those that are in independent media that are talking about this? Because again, do we all find it to be coincidental that today the Washington Post is being gutted? That Jeff Bezos is shutting down the Washington Post? You know, the outlet that said democracy dies in darkness? No, it dies right in front of you on a fucking Wednesday morning in broad daylight. Why are these media outlets being culled right now as this Department of Justice is now compelled vis-a-vis lower courts to release this information? And it just so happens that all the media outlets are now run by right wing, TikTok,
Billionaire.
CBS,
Billionaire.
Jeff Bezos.
Billionaire.
Folks, pay attention.
Well, check this out. If you think this is all conspiracy theory, I want you all to remember that literally for the past 2 years, we've had the establishment, both Democrats and Republicans, not blame Israel for its genocide in turning young people away from Israel, but what? TikTok. You had Hillary Clinton say that recently. You've had Mitt Romney say that. And guess who just bought TikTok? Larry Ellison. Billionaire.
Oh, Larry Ellison.
Yeah, who's also in the Epstein files. He was discussed by Epstein, and also a pro-Israel, pro-Trump nut who wants to live forever. He bought TikTok. Who's throttling any criticism of TikTok? last week. I'm sure you guys have seen this. People are like, holy crap, man. I can't talk about ICE. All these TikTok creators are now leaving TikTok. Voila. Ellison. So not just throttling criticism of Israel, but also criticism of ICE.
Donald
All right.
Trump and
His,
ICE.
his son, David Ellison, Nepo baby, failed actor, head of Skydance. Skydance merges with Paramount. Paramount controls CBS. CBS News settled, some people call it a bribe. I call it a bribe, a $60 million bribe with Donald Trump. They gave him a scalp. Who? Stephen Colbert, a critic. Remember that? They get the merger
Yep.
done. What happens? Who does David Ellison bring on to destroy CBS News and fill it with right wing hacks? Barry Weiss. Barry Weiss's Free Press essentially somehow gets all these ratings and all these views and is so successful, even though no one watches it. Guess who, according to the New York Times profile, is her guru, the whisperer in her ear? Billionaire David Sachs. David Sachs is Donald Trump's czar of AI. David Sachs is part of the PayPal broligarchy, the South African broligarchy. Him, Peter Thiel, and Elon Musk. Okay, so now you got CBS neutered, TikTok neutered. Now you got Jeff Bezos buying the Washington Post, and some people are like, this is awesome. Like, why is this going to be awesome? Jeff Bezos also owns Amazon, right? Amazon paid $40 million to get close to Donald Trump and make this freaking whitewash Melania movie. Today, Jeff Bezos, a man who could single-handedly pay all the salaries of all the staffers, has chosen to lay off all the staffers, right? New York Times. Listen, folks, I want people to dig. I want people to dig between Sulzberger and Epstein, because this type of neutered coverage on Epstein, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but something's up, bro.
Well,
Because
like, watch, you don't, like, literally just connected the dots. It is not a conspiracy when it is true, right? Like, it is not a conspiracy when
not on the
all
front
of the
page.
dots can be connected. Because also, who was the originator of let me buy and destroy? Elon Musk with Twitter,
Twitter.
which which started right when Donald Trump was running for the second time. He bought Twitter to destroy it. Folks need to stop thinking in this like, oh, they're destroying these businesses. They don't see business the same way that you do. They are not operating in this mom and pop mentality of, well, I got to appease my constituents. I got to appease my customers. No, no, they buy these businesses so that they can destroy them. They have more money than God. It is not about, they don't get their money from the success of these businesses, because even if they go bankrupt, guess who wrote the policies that allowed them to be protected and their wealth to be protected?
Well, guess who was also over Epstein? Not just David Brooks in the New York Times. Want to take a guess? This guy who I mock openly and some people don't like it, Ezra Klein. David Sirota posted a clip yesterday that's gone kind of viral about Ezra Klein saying, yo, I don't know if there's really a big deal here. I'm no, Notice all the people. I'll
Is
say it
he in
right
the
now.
files?
No, he's not in the files.
Oh,
But look at this.
oh,
It's
but he's bought and sold by the billionaires.
NYT opinion. Right?
Yeah.
I just posted it. It was an NYT opinion. And good job on Sirota for bringing it. He goes, I'm still wondering why Ezra insisted on publicly declaring this a few months ago at exactly the moment lawmakers were trying to force the release of the Epstein files. What explains the impulse to provide NYT to cover for powerful people? David Sirota asks. And then when the Epstein files were dropped just a couple of days ago, wasn't even on the front page of the New York Times. Folks, if you look at going back to Elon Musk, and I know this sounds wild. I'm going to share a story which I've shared before. It was during BLM and Me Too. People talk about COVID breaking people's brain. It did. It broke a lot of people's brain, especially Joe Rogan, all that, right? And then you saw the right wing use that to promote anti-vax stuff. And then you also saw, wait for it, our enemies abroad. Because what our enemies abroad do, it's not just Russia, is they use social media and psyops to prey upon existing fissures, right? So they don't necessarily create the fissures, but they're like, America's deeply racist. And we know in 2016, Russia used the racial divide and religious divide, especially anti-Black and anti-Muslim, to cause more division. You saw Elon Musk spend you saw the right wing spend over $200 million on anti-trans ads, right? So what they do is they prey upon existing divisions and they amplify it. Okay, that's what they amplify it. So what we're witnessing is this situation where you have this entirety of the right wing running on, like what Daniel said, this projection, right? Then you see these powerful elites trying their best to give cover to the right wing and to mainstream this both sides anti-cancel culture around Me Too and BLM. COVID breaks people's brains, but so does Me Too and BLM. Why? Because Me Too and BLM, just go back and remember, for a brief period, 1 year, accountability. Accountability against who? Not just the most powerful people, Danielle, but the institutions. Some of these
Yep.
people realize, oh shit, if they could get Harvey Weinstein for raping, they might get me for raping. And if you listen to all these powerful, mostly not exclusively white men, what did they say? Witch hunt, witch hunt, witch hunt. And what did we say? Bro, if you weren't racist and raping people, you shouldn't be like,
You should be fine.
you should be
I
fine.
don't see the
Why are
trouble.
you freaking out? Here's the story I'll give you. I'll connect the dots. So during my time in New York Times, I get invited to Aspen. At that time, I'm running for the New York Times as a contributing op-ed writer. I go to Aspen. I get invited to speak about something. And Barry Weiss makes her debut at Aspen. Barry Weiss is interviewing, wait for it, Jordan Peterson, who I'm following because I'm in these right-wing spaces, but he hasn't taken off and become the Jordan Peterson, but he's bubbling, all right? They have a 1 hour conversation. Literally it was so stupid. It was so stupid, Danielle. Literally, it was so stupid. I'm saying, are people impressed by this? I look around. The rich whites have erections. They're drooling. They're eating this up, right? Me and like 3 other people of color are like, yeah, that was really troubling and weird. And he doesn't sound that smart. But we were in the minority. Me and 3 other people of color. Jelani Cobb was one of them. Sorry for outing you, Jelani Cobb. But he was like, I'm like, Jelani? Was that just? He goes, yeah. So it was basically 1950s, a call to return to 1950s white patriarchy. It was a call to return to a system of dominance, and every culture has dominance, and every culture has a strata. And basically what he's saying is America was better in 1950s when white men were on top. Just giving it to you real, right? Afterwards, I get invited. It's in the hotel lobby. And Barry was a colleague of mine at New York Times. This is the second time I met her after I debated her on MSNBC. So you have to be like, oh, hello. So Barry Weiss, Jordan Peterson, and a few other freaks who I won't mention were like just sitting. And they're like, Waj, why don't you sit with us? I'm like, too good of an opportunity. Can't resist. We'll stay quiet and observe. I see Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson's right in front of me. I remember I sent on WhatsApp to my friends. I'm like, you will not believe who I'm sitting right in front of. They're like, who? I'm like, Jordan Peterson. They're like, oh shit, what are you guys talking about? I'm like, guys, this guy doesn't look well. And I wasn't being a hater, Danielle. Like spiritual, you know how you look at someone's eyes sometimes? I'm like, emotionally and spiritually, this man does not look well. Now we find out this man is like, I don't know, near death, apparently, like for the last couple of years, right? Deeply unwell. A billionaire comes, sits down next to us. And he's like, oh yeah, Jordan, hey, how's it going, man? Sit down next to me. I'm like, how do you guys know each other? He goes, I fund him. I'm like, what do you mean you fund him? I'm supporting him. I'm like, I think what he's saying is fantastic and I want more people to hear. And I've brought him out to California where I live. I'm like, what is it about him that you really like? Me Too's gone too far. I'm like, interesting. What do you mean? It's just gone too far. And I think Jordan has a good angle on it and he's correcting it. I'm like, and I remember at New York Times at that time, if you recall, New York Times' James Bennett was in the running to replace Dean Beckett, right? And who did he allow to just make embarrassment after embarrassment after embarrassment at the New York Times? Bret Stephens and Barry Weiss. Remember that? They kept effing up? Okay, folks. So we kept wondering, how do these, like we joked at the New York Times that these two people must know where the bodies are buried, Danielle, because how do they keep effing up
And failing upwards.
Really? Like, and it wasn't just me. It wasn't just the people of color. Jews, white people, women, all of us were like, the joke was, these people know where bodies are buried. There's no other explanation. What we found out later was Bennett realized that Sulzberger liked those two. All right. So he kept, if you will, tolerating them to get to the Dean Beckett position, right? Because he was in the running for it. Okay. What happens? BLM, Me Too. Tom Kahn publishes that bullshit article essentially advocating for troops to come against BLM protesters. Remember that? Huge hell, right? What happens? James Bennett has to apologize. What happens? James Bennett then leaves the job. And I can tell you, folks, some other white editors in positions of power then said, if they can go after James Bennett, they can go after me.
Me.
I get an email from some of these people. Remember the anti-cancel culture email that was written in Harper's? I'm doing deep cuts, folks, but I'm really like taking you through this. Just remember, just stick with me. Harper's published this anti-cancel culture, a letter that was written by all these powerful men. Me Too has gone too far. BLM has gone too far after Bennett was forced to resign as a result of admitting that he did not do due diligence to promote this Tom Cotton article, which filled with inaccuracies that talked about unleashing military against BLM. Who published him? A man who was brought in, a young man who was brought in by Barry Weiss. She brought in this young right-wing pro-Israel hawk who is now running Free Press. All right. Wait. So it gets better.
Oh yeah, because I know where you're going.
Yeah. So they reached out to me. Watch. Will you sign this letter? Cancel culture has gone too far. I'm like, I'm not going to sign this. They're like, why not? I understand what you're saying. I'm against cancel culture when it actually happens. This is very tone deaf, and this seems like a lot of really rich, powerful, influential men banding together to go against progress. Despite your best intentions, I think this is going to be bad. I think I still have the email. And that person said, well, we understand and thank you. And the reason why they reached out to me is they thought I would be their token Muslim at the time.
Yep.
Because I was being boycotted by some people in my own communities because they wanted my scalp. They told me they needed my scalp. And I'm like, I kind of like my scalp because they said, you engage with Zionist Jews and we have to make an example out of you. And they called me a Muslim Zionist. And I said, no Zionist on earth has ever referred to me as a Zionist. Like, it doesn't matter. We need to make an example out of you. So that's what I had to go through. So they thought, aha, Waj will be our token brownie and he'll sign it. I'm like, nope, I'm not going to sign it. So as this was happening and as this was, colluding, you saw these powerful men realize they've gone too far. They've taken away Harvey Weinstein. They've gone after Woody Allen. They went after James Bennett. And then you saw what? Peter Thiel, Elon Musk, right? Anti-cancel culture, right? Anti-DEI, right? Then you saw them go all in on this. And guess who takes over Twitter? Elon Musk, who then takes over Washington Post, Bezos. Voila. I hope that was not, I'm sorry to bore you. I didn't mean to go on a rant.
No. But I wanted you to get to the place where who was just fired from CBS News, who was just fired for their appearance in the Epstein files. The person that Barry Weiss said, take over FP. What is his name?
Atia.
Yeah, that was just fired because of his emails that were basically stating, oh, I am this longevity fucking guru, and you should invest in me because I'll help you live longer so that you can rape more girls.
I'm just telling you, folks, I got a front row. I thought that would be useful to you because I got a rare front row seat into this cabal, this bro culture. They thought I'd be one of them. I used it, if you will, to Trojan
Waj
horse
could
it.
be rich right now, y'all.
I Trojan horsed it. I'm not that dumb. I'm not that smart, but I'm not that dumb. I'm like, oh, you think I'm one of those tokens? Okay, I'll take your invite. And I got the invite and I said what I had to say. Never got invited again. And they thought they could, if you will, ride me as the cultural validator. The Black, the Cash Patel.
Yep.
It's all communities
the
have
Candace Owens. Yep.
Yeah. And I could be very wealthy right now, folks.
Rich. I mean, like swimming in money like Scrooge McDuck.
And the funny thing is not only am I not rich, and not only did I then get boycotted by the same people for my criticisms of the Billionaire and Israel's genocide, within my own communities, they openly told me very casually, we know you're a good guy. We need to make an example out of you. So I'm still boycotted by some Muslims and a few pro-Palestinian activists who, it's all, you know how it is, Danielle. It's community politics. It's about territory. It's about, you know how it is. It's all communities that are the same. So instead of making money, I lost the most amount of money. but what I got is a front row seat into some of these individuals and how they operate. They meet at Aspen. They're all buddy buddies. The Billionaires Mountain, they're all friendly with each other. I seen them in the CNN green room. They're all pals. It's all
Yep.
a game to
What
them.
do you say? It's a big old club, George Carlin. It's a big old club, and we ain't in it.
And now
And these people, they use all of these places. They've used their foundations. They have tried to sane wash their insanity and their depravity through philanthropy, through genius language, through all of these things that we have allowed. We've allowed this to happen, right? Because how many times ad nauseum, how many papers, how many awards was Elon Musk on the cover of? How many times was Bill Gates celebrated, right, for his philanthropy and his work? And we now know that he was raping Russian girls and getting STDs and then trying to slip his wife fucking medication, right? She was on a podcast. They said, all of these things have come out now. How do you feel? And she said, sad and sick. But you know what? I left this marriage. I left the foundation for a reason. So for folks that are like, I don't know, I think you guys have gone too far, too tin hat, blah, blah, blah. Fucking Melinda Gates,
I'm trying to find the link.
like
It went on
he
yesterday. It was crazy.
literally, without saying it, said, all of this is true. It's why I got a divorce. It's why I'm in a much better place now. Right? It is sad. It
There
is
you go.
sick.
I just put the link, and furthermore, she teased it out a couple of months ago in the interview with Gayle King when Gayle King tried to ask her about Epstein, and she said it was one of the reasons why I left Bill Gates. It's a
Correct.
big club, and when me and Danielle kept saying it, right, we've been saying this for like the past year. It's a big club. It's a big club. You ain't in. It's a big club. A lot of people are like, yeah, maybe it's clever thing that they're just saying. It's a George Carlin quote, and I do my little riff that they date each other, they sleep with each other, they marry with each other, they cheat on each other, they go to the same churches and synagogues and golf clubs. And people are like, nah, just look at the latest Epstein files. Just look at it. Look at it.
It reads like the who's who of every major industry, right? Like they told us out loud. They gave us the Bond plot. The villains stood up and they said, it's pedophilia, it's murder, it's crypto, it's guns, it's this, that, and the other thing. And folks, like, the insanity and the depravity and the sociopathy of where we are, where we find ourselves. And I tell you, it is because with each step, we normalize Donald Trump. With each moment, with each and every single move over the last 10 plus years, we have normalized these people to the point that now we know that Donald Trump is a pedophile. We know that he is a rapist. We know in his own words and as been adjudicated, we know how he talked about his own daughter. We know what he said about the Miss Teen USA pageant. We know all of these things. And so the question that I have is, what the fuck are we going to do now with this information? Because if you think these people are allowing midterms to happen, if you think, right, that they're just going to sit around and, oh, that's what's going to fix this fucking cabal of fuckery, is going to be 9 months from now, a free and fair election. Wake the fuck up.
Um, and furthermore, um, going to that point, I wanted to say this, and I'm glad because you reminded me. I want to say this earlier. Anyone, we said this before, and hopefully now we could put a dot on it, especially after we've spoke for the last 70 minutes, have convinced you. And if we haven't convinced you, that's okay. Just trust the evidence of your own eyes and your own ears about just look at the past week, folks. Look at today, gutting Washington Post, the Melania documentary, the Epstein revelations, all these rich and powerful people perfectly fine partying with Epstein after he was convicted. Any Democrat that does not run on taxing the billionaires, does not run on holding these billionaires accountable, is a person you should spend your time defeating in the primaries.
Yep.
Why do I say this? Gavin Newsom is the white knight. They believe that Gavin Newsom will waltz in and become president. Schumer and the Democrats have already spiked the ball. They think they've won. They're like, oh, we don't have to promise any reform. Ken Martin openly told you, if we promise you an audit, silly monkeys, we're not going to give you an audit. Donald Trump is so crazy, we're just going to keep winning elections. Look at Texas. Look at, New Jersey. We don't have to do anything. Gavin Newsom, look at what he says. When asked, are you for taxing the billionaires? This is just a month and a half ago. He said, they're part of
It's a
the
big tent.
When
It's a
asked
big
weeks
tent.
ago on his own podcast where he invited not Danielle, he'll never invite Danielle. You know who he'd invite? Ben Shapiro, Charlie Kirk, Steve Bannon. Ben Shapiro said, I think you went too far. I think it's too far when people say Israel committed a genocide. What did Gavin Newsom say? You're right. You're right. When Ben Shapiro said, when you posted ISIS doing state-sanctioned terrorism, that's too much. You're right. You're right. So these people who are unwilling to hold them accountable, guess what, folks? It's a tell. And what's a tell?
Yep.
They're part in the big club and
Yep.
you ain't in it. If I'm wrong here, Danielle, you tell me.
No, and I say it, and for folks, because there are some that are in the chat are like, oh, this is unconfirmed slander. Like, you're undereducated. You are undereducated if you think that we just turned this on to just, spew a bunch of bullshit. No, because if we did, we'd be right wingers making a shit ton of money. No, what we do is take pieces of the news, the drip, drip, drab that you get in silos, and what we do is knit it together so that you can actually see the whole picture, right? The whole thing of what is happening, their end game, right? Their ultimate desires. So that when you're talking, oh, I only care about crypto. I only care about immigration. I only care about this. We are knitting it together so that you can see the big picture of their big master plan. And I'm telling you, you ain't a part of it. You are not a part of it. You are a means to an end. And what they are seeing right now in the rise in investment in AI is that they don't need you, right? They don't need you
So they're
because
telling you.
humans are too expensive. They're too expensive. They don't got to pay AI a 401k. They don't got to pay healthcare. They don't have to give AI vacation. They don't have to give AI maternity leave. So when they talk about the fact, right, that they're doing this double down and now AI, it's too big to fail. It's got to go. It's got to take off. Is that the goal is to fucking replace you. That is it, right? And on top of which, if they can't have AI replace you completely and you lose your job and then you have to resort to scraping together, they are building big, beautiful concentration camps that will house 80,000 plus people. And folks, do the math, because there ain't that many undocumented people. There ain't that many fucking immigrants. They are building for the future, which is a future where you are either dead or enslaved, right? Like, that's what they want. When they're talking about bringing back, right, the age of the fiefdoms and bringing back this hierarchy and patriarchy and all of these things, it is about control. It is control over everything so that 20 people in the world make the most money.
That's it. And I just found out right now, folks, the team that were the Pulitzer Prize finalists for their work on Gaza genocide for the Washington Post, all of them laid off.
Yes.
Liz Sly said the Washington Post has just inexplicably laid off the entire Middle East team. The entire Middle East team, along with most of the international staff. And then it's one of those points where like, Wad, you're Muslim, you're brown. Oh, anytime you criticize Israel, you're anti-Semitic. I get this shit all the time. And I'm like, you know what? I'm done with you all. I try to be very consistent. I call out hate. But look at this, man. Like it's a few people with a few interests, the rich white folks. Some of these folks, not all of them, are obsessed with Israel, like Larry Ellison and David Ellison, are perfectly fine, willing to just capsize TikTok, right? Then you have Hillary Clinton, who's not Jewish, by the way, but decides to go to a Miriam Adelson's conference. Miriam Adelson is the second biggest funder to Donald Trump and openly said, yeah, I have one goal, which is annexation of the West Bank. And then what was that, a month and a half ago, where Hillary Clinton decides to go to Miriam Adelson's New York City conference and she says, TikTok, it's radicalized young people. And now you see Donald Trump saying, I don't care about any of this stuff. Oh, New Gaza. You have Jared Kushner openly. You see the slideshow a couple of days ago of New Gaza and Donald Trump promoting the AI. Remember that AI ad a couple of months
Yes.
ago? That disgusting stuff. They don't care about any of us. And what we kept saying is if they can do this to Palestinians, if they can do this to pro-Palestinian activists, and let's be honest, folks, a year ago, Democrats, go ahead and abduct Rumeza Ozturk for writing an op-ed. Go ahead and abduct Mahmoud Khalil because you don't like him. No problem. Go ahead and abduct 230 plus brown people, Clamar Abrego Garcia. We're not brown. We don't care. Who cares about what's happening in Ukraine?
Step by step, step by
Who cares
step.
what's happening at the border? Who cares what CBP is doing? Who cares what's happening to these Palestinians? Just, folks, Trump administration has just bypassed Congress to send $3 more billion to Israel. It's a big club, military-industrial complex, people with their own ideologies. Hey, AI, crypto, does AI and crypto help you in any way, shape, or form? In any way, shape, or form? No. But apparently we have some, Gavin Newsom, we need AI. Hakeem Jeffries, AI investment. Why? The donors, the funders, okay? Folks, it's like, gosh, it's disgusting. It's disgusting.
I mean, look, and I gotta run because I got a whole other show to do in 30 minutes. But like this, I mean, I the goal is to present you with the information so that you make informed decisions and that you wake up to the reality that an election alone is not going to save us
Nope.
because they have already planted the seeds. They have already rigged the machines. They have already revamped media to bend the knee. They are talking. Yesterday, front page was Walmart hitting $1 trillion, not Donald Trump being in the files 38,000 times, not opening up an investigation. So why the UK is opening up an investigation into a politician, while Poland is opening up an investigation into trafficking, while France was raiding Elon Musk's Twitter office, the United States is doing this. And there is a reason for it.
And also Oracle, we talked about it, I think 2 days ago, Oracle, thousands of layoffs to make money for AI data centers.
AI.
UPS, thousands of people laid off. Amazon, thousands of people laid off.
Thousands of
Why?
people.
Because Howard Lutnick, who's Donald Trump's Secretary of Commerce, and in the Epstein files, and who wanted to bring his family to the Epstein Island and lied about it, openly has said on TV, oh, don't worry about it. These jobs, anyway, even if they go, we're going to replace them by AI. AI. Already said it. If AI fails, the bubble will burst. We will be asked to bail it out, too big to fail. If AI succeeds, we're effed, folks. So how do you counter it? I know people don't like to hear this. I know Danielle's got to go. I'm sorry. I'm sick, but I got riled up, so I actually feel pretty good now. And I was only supposed to speak for like 30 minutes, but we went for an hour and a half because there's a lot to talk about. I know people might not like hearing this. Vote blue no matter who is going to screw you. It's a short-term gap. If you do the vote blue no matter who, let me tell you exactly what's going to happen. Assuming we have free and fair elections, and now you have Steve Bannon openly asking Donald Trump to unleash ICE agents.
And also nationalize the election. We didn't talk about that.
Oh, we'll do it on
Friday.
Take it over. So if they can't cheat their way, if they can't suppress the vote, if they can't do voter ID suppression, if they can't intimidate you, what they're going to do, what we've always said, and I hope I'm wrong, is Insurrection Act, martial law. So assuming if we have free and fair elections, and that's a big if right now, folks. If you think we're being hyperbolic, you're suffering from a failure of imagination. What Democrats, the establishment, is planning on doing right now is running a milquetoast candidate, and you're going to get restoration, not reformation. And then what you're going to get in 2032 is your first Nazi America first president. So this is why we say I'm trying to think short-term and long-term. We have to be tougher on the Democrats right now because there's primary season. because we have to let them know, if you're not a fighter, we're not going to support you. And these people who think they can waltz in and still be okay with the genocide, fund billionaires, fund AI, and protect the Epstein and their pals, they think it's business as usual. And we need to let them know right now, we're done with you. It is not business as usual. And I do think, Danielle, what we'll need is one, pardon me for using this analogy, one figurative political scalp. Just like what happened in 2014 when Republicans took out Eric Cantor and brought in David Bratt, that signaled to Republicans, oh shit, we should listen to our base. It's a Tea Party base, which then led to Donald Trump. We need one of these big old guys who thinks they're so powerful to be knocked the F out by an outsider, and that would put the fear of God in them. This is in response to all the people who are saying, what do we need to do? The people, rise up, protest, boycotts, shut it down,
National strike.
primary these people. They won't care otherwise, folks. They will not care. If you don't believe me, I give you Gavin Newsom looking at all the polls saying, billionaires.
I give you Senator Schumer saying that his one major job is to ensure funding for Israel.
That
And
was
he said that last week,
3 days ago.
3 days ago. All right, folks. Well, shamelessly promote yourself.
You go first.
I took your line.
You go first.
Everyone, it's like over 2,000 people watching live. You're watching this on the Left Hook and the Damn Digest. Folks, we keep all of our content free. We keep it free for a reason, because paywalls is where critical thinking goes to die. But if you have the resources, if you have the ability to become a paid subscriber, please do so. Please do consider becoming a paid subscriber to the Damn Digest and to the Left Hook. This is my year anniversary is on Friday
Oh, that's great.
of being on Substack. And when I get off at some point today, I'm going to also be running a new special. But folks, do consider becoming a paid subscriber. We're telling you, mainstream media is dead. It has failed you. It's going to continue to fail you. And so we are people powered. We do this work because you are behind us. So we appreciate it.
That's fantastic. And I'm so happy Danielle listened to my badgering. Usually it's one way. Danielle has said that every straight man needs a lesbian in his life to save him from himself. Correct. But every lesbian needs a middle-aged Muslim man who drives a Honda Odyssey minivan to tell her to get on Substack and make some money. She's like, really? Okay. So it's amazing that you've been on here for 1 year. That's fantastic. It's the Damn Digest. Please go subscribe to her and become a paid subscriber. And also then go subscribe to her YouTube channel. I have my victory, if you will, is having done this now a year and a half and working through a cold. I now have 100,000 subscribers, which makes me really happy, which is small. I know it's not like big.
Rock star.
And so, most of it are overwhelmingly of you are free, which is fine.
Which is fine.
Everything is free. But if you can, and if you find this useful, as why they're going to come after us, folks. I will say this last thing. I know Daniel has to go. Look what happened on Friday. We were already forgetting. On Friday, folks, Don Lemon and 3 Black independent journalists were arrested. That was them telling you, we're going to come after all of you. And then you saw Washington Post say, we don't give a shit. Pulitzer Prize winning journalists, the entire Middle Eastern International Court, we don't care. I don't care. I'm Jeff Bezos. F you. So they're going to come after Substack next. They are. I'm telling you, they're going to come after Substack. And I think Substack, I'm just telling you all strategically, because the only thing that runs this country is the color green. Capitalism is a religion. Substack, right-wingers are trying to infiltrate Substack. There's some Nazi Substack posts. I get it. But in the past year, ever since Trump has come back, Substack actually has become dominated by a large part of the resistance, right? And so Substack realizes, oh shit, if we comply with Donald Trump, we're going to lose Danielle's and Waj's, Midas Touches and Zateos and Heather Cox Richardson. So the more you support it, I'm telling you, just the way it works. Substack as a corporation, they don't give a shit about us. They look at the bottom line. And right now, the bottom line is being fed by a lot of people who are pissed off at Trump. They will go after, the Trump administration will go after Substack. It's only a matter of time when they figure it out. So we have to make it so powerful that Substack says, nah, we're not going to bend the knee.
Yep.
So I'm just thinking long term. If you can, become a paid subscriber. Here's the special, the lefthook.substack.com/special, $3.75 a month. If you don't have the money, go subscribe to Danielle first. Thank you all for listening. There's 2,500 people. We'll have this up later. I'm not feeling well, so I'm gonna refer
He's
Danielle
gonna go drink
yeah.
chai and lay the fuck down.
Yeah, Danielle's gonna write it up, and whenever she does, I'll
Yeah.
shamelessly but I always give her credit. So I always link to
Yeah.
Danielle. So this is Danielle's write-up. Uh, but when I write it up, I don't yeah, so I always give credit where credit's due. For those 2,500 people who joined us real late, real quick, we talk about the billionaires, how the billionaires are effing us, and I'm all this is a Dune reference. I'm all for the Butlerian jihad. In Dune, the Butlerian jihad refers to the time where the people rose up against the AI and the tech overlords. As a Muslim, I'm here for the Butlerian jihad, legally and peacefully, of course, Danny. Thank you all for watching. Take care. And please, oh, please don't be a
Be a
fascist.
fascist.
Thank you, Danielle.
Bye, my friend.